Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. This podcast is going to walk you through my journey into mediumship and how I came to realize that I could communicate with souls that have passed over. My adventure started just over a year ago when unusual situations started happening to me. It wasn't until I really started to pay attention to them that it all started to come together. I wrote down everything that I was experiencing this past year in a little black book, and this podcast is going to be a recap of all of those memories leading up to where I am today in my mediumship journey. I will be releasing new episodes every Tuesday, and I recommend listening to the podcast in order, starting with episode 1, as my story will unfold more week by week. If you would like to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at mediuminthemiddle. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 33. I like that we're on episode 33 because I like the number 33. It's an angel number and I like when numbers repeat themselves. So like 11, 22, 33. Good numbers. So apart from that, I'm really excited to announce that I am working on the Medium in the Middle website, and I have heard all of the messages and all of the requests for Distance Reiki. I've practiced, I feel good with it, I've set it up. So I'm going to be offering this service as soon as my website is live. I'm going to do a whole episode on Distance Reiki, explain how it works, explain how all my practice sessions went. I did almost 20 of them from people all over the world, and I'm really excited to share this with you. So it should be up before quarantine is done. Okay, before we start today's Q&A, I'm going to pull a card. So I am pulling today's card from the same deck that I always use, the Colette Baron Reed, the Enchanted Map Oracle card deck. You can pull cards from any Oracle card deck. This is just the one that I have at home and the one that I use, but feel free if you would like to pull Oracle cards to pull from any deck. It doesn't have to be this one specifically. So today I pulled card number 12 for you, Slow and Steady. So when I'm shuffling the cards, my intention is, what do we need to know right now? What does the collective need to know right now? What does the universe need to know right now? What do I need to know? And I like to pull cards to give me a little bit of information. It's kind of my conversation with the universe, just something we maybe need to know, be reminded of, or something that we just need to hear. So card number 12, Slow and Steady. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm going to read both the card descriptions this time. Usually I just read the upright description, but I will read both because I feel like it really applies to what we're going through right now as a collective, and both sides resonated with me, so they might resonate with you too. So if the card appears upright, this is the meaning. Remember the old cliche, slow and steady wins the race? This is a time for easy movement, unhurried steps, and a steady heart. Trust that taking life at a more leisurely pace will give you greater access to your dreams. Slowing down allows more contact with the juicier elements of your life. Savor them. The card meaning reversed. Pushing things forward impulsively will not only prevent success, but potentially cause more trouble than you're prepared to handle. Moving too quickly will only yield unripe fruit with a bitter taste. Slow down. Breathe. Meditate. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. Just be. Everything will work out if you can apply the brakes and become more aware of what's happening in this moment. A calm focus on the now, breathing in the beauty of your surroundings, will restore your power to consciously co-create your world. All fruits ripen in their own time. I really liked this card because I think we all need to hear this. Right now is such an uncertain time, and we don't know if we should be doing everything or doing nothing. And it's just a good reminder to be slow and steady, and that we don't have to accomplish everything today. I really like the line where it said, slow down, breathe, meditate. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. Just be. That really clicked with me. If you want to physically see the card, I always post a picture of it on Instagram, so you can follow me at Medium in the Middle, and the card will be on my stories. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. I post new episodes every Tuesday, so please subscribe to my channel and it will pop up in your inbox every week so you don't have to remember to go and search for them. Also, if you are an iTunes user, I would love a rating and a review. Ratings and reviews really help people find me in the podcast world. So if you have a few moments, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and a review. I read them all and I love hearing all the comments and the feedback. So thank you so much if you have left a review. I really, really appreciate it. So before we jump into today's Q&A, I want to tell a little story. So this was about 4 days ago. I was sitting beside my roommate in the living room and she was on the phone with her friend. And she said to her friend on the phone, "Was the funeral today?" That's all she said. And I got this image of this woman who was 40 years old, dark hair, medium length. It was curly. She had a daughter and she died of ovarian cancer, or she passed from something like in the gut area, like in the low gut. But they were on the phone and I didn't want to interrupt them to be like, "Hey, is this for you?" So I just kind of left the room and didn't say anything. I was going to message the girl on the phone, but I didn't want to, and I didn't know if that was appropriate, especially if the funeral was today. So I didn't say anything. And then it was a few hours later and I was in the kitchen and I said to my roommate, "Do you know who the funeral was for today?" She was like, "No, why?" And she's used to living with a medium by now, so it is weird how normal these things are in my household. But she said, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, when you were talking earlier on the phone, I just got this image of this woman, about 40 years old, dark hair, medium length, curly, has a daughter, and I think died of ovarian cancer. You think that's her?" She's like, "I don't know." And I was like, I was going to text and ask, but I didn't want to. And she's like, "Oh, I already did." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the friend answered back and she said, "Yeah, that is my friend that passed away. It wasn't the one that was having the funeral today." So she actually had 3 friends pass this month. It's been a very tragic month for her. So this woman who I saw in my living room when they were on the phone is actually the first friend to have passed. So then I messaged this friend on the phone because we all know each other. And I said, "Hey, sorry I didn't tell you. I just didn't know if it was appropriate or not. This woman says that she has nothing to say until a birthday. There's like a birthday coming up and she has nothing to say until then. And I guess her daughter's birthday is in a month. So I'm thinking that she might have something to say on her daughter's birthday. But for now, that's all the information that I had. So we kind of left it like that. And then I was sitting on the couch with my roommate again, and I was just saying "Oh, I didn't lose my powers." And she looked at me and she's like, "Why would you lose your powers?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I just think that I'm going to lose them all the time. It's like this constant fear almost that one day I'm going to wake up and not be able to do this anymore. And especially because we are in quarantine, I'm not seeing clients. I'm not doing Reiki on anyone. I don't have anyone around me, like physically or spiritually. I almost forget that I have this superpower and this gift that I'm able to use." And she was so used to it and normal. She's like, "Yeah, obviously, it's not going anywhere." And I was just sitting in the chair being like, I didn't lose my powers. So just a reminder that if you're not feeling like yourself right now, you didn't lose it. It didn't go anywhere. We're all just in hibernation, and it's a weird limbo to be in. But I needed that reminder from spirit to be like, just because I'm not seeing clients, just because I literally have no people around me, it's me and my 2 roommates, that my gift isn't going anywhere. And I really needed that reminder this week because sometimes you forget what you have. So that's my little story for you before we jump into the Q&As. It's not long enough to have its full episode, but I wanted to share that. So I'm going to jump into the questions that you all sent me on Instagram and also some that I get in my DMs. There's a lot of the same questions, so I like to answer them on the podcast because more than one person probably wants to know this information. So let's start with the first question. This question asked if I have reoccurring dreams. The answer to this is yes, I do. There are 2 dreams that I have often. Not often, but they are reoccurring where I can remember them. If I do dream about someone else, it's usually more like psychic information. And this mostly happens for my friends and family and people around me. But if I have a dream about someone, I'll call them in the morning, and it's usually relevant to their life or something that happened last night. For example, I once called someone after dreaming about them. I dreamt that they were in the hospital and we were together and we were doing all these things. And it turned out the night before like they were very sick. So just things like that will happen in my dreams. But I'm not sure the meaning of my reoccurring dreams. The one, I'm always in this house and I'm lost and I end up falling. So I'm always falling and I wake up in the fall. And it's like this scary dream because I'm lost in this house. It's almost like a maze. And I know I've been here before, but I don't remember. So it's a frustrating dream. And there's just a few others where I know when I'm in them that I've had them before, but I'm not sure their meaning. So I do ask clients a lot about their dreams, but mostly if they remember their dreams or don't remember their dreams, because I really firmly believe that your dreams are your subconscious talking to you. So if you remember your dreams, then there's something that you're trying to remember or a lesson you're trying to learn. And if you don't remember your dreams, then either it's not the right time for you to learn that lesson or it's not the right time for you to hear that information. So I always like to ask my clients what's going on in their dreams because it says a lot about their energy body as well. And that's not to say that if you dream or don't dream, or you remember your dreams or you don't remember your dreams, it's good or bad. It's just sometimes with different things going on in your energy body, when I am doing a Reiki client, knowing what's going on in your dreams helps me know kind of where your energy's at even more, because either your body's talking to you about this problem or they're not. Either it's keeping you up at night and you can't sleep, or it's not, and each different thing means something different in how you're holding the energy. Question number 2. Do I like to meditate? The answer for this is yes, but my meditation might not be what you think of. So I don't sit on a pillow and light a candle and have some incense on and close my eyes and play music and sit there for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. When I drop into meditation, it's usually to talk to spirit or it's to connect to my own energy. And I can drop in very quickly when I'm in that mindset. I said this to my mom once. We were talking about meditation and she didn't really get it. And I was like, Mom, I'm really good about thinking about nothing. And I was like, look, not thinking of anything. And I said it as a joke, but it really is true. I'm very good at clearing my mind very quickly. And I think I've gotten this from having to work with clients. So my meditation is like lying in bed, closing my eyes, and just clearing the thoughts. Or my meditation is during yoga, clearing my thoughts. Or my meditation is clearing my thoughts and then letting spirit in. There really is that distinction, because either I'm clearing all of my thoughts and energy to let someone else's energy come in, or to let spirit come in, or I'm actually just clearing it so that I can not think of anything. So I do like to meditate, but probably not in the typical way that you would think. So this next question kind of ties in with the last, and it asks, how do I prepare for a session? So for a Reiki session, if a client is coming to see me for the first time, I usually sit in the chair and I'll try to meditate. I'll drop into like a meditation where I just clear my mind after the room is set up. My music's on, everything's ready to go, crystals are laid out and they're cleared. I will sit on a chair. I try to connect with the person's energy before they come. So it's another way that I practice distance Reiki as well. So I will try to connect with their energy to do like a body scan before they get in the room, because when they walk in, sometimes I need to do something before they lay down on the bed, if it's in the back or low back. I just like to know exactly where I'm going when they come in, where I want to start, and scanning their energy body before they even come into the room is really helpful for me. So I try to do that. And if I can't connect to their energy for some reason, or I'm just having an off day, then I'll just sit in meditation and just clear my thoughts. This is usually when spirit will come too. So if someone does want to talk, they're usually in the room before you get there. So a lot of the times when I am having sessions, people will walk in, I'll give them the speech, and then I'll ask them if they're open for messages. And if they are, I'll be like, okay, great. And who's your grandpa's on your dad's side? Because he's already here waiting. Sometimes when I'm walking to work, that'll happen. I walk like 6 minutes to work. It's not very far. I live in Banff. Everything's close. But I can feel things before I even get to the office. Sometimes I'll be at home and it'll be like all day before. If I know I'm seeing someone tomorrow, sometimes I can start to feel things today. But I always try to ground myself before my clients come in. I always try to connect with their energy. If they're a repeating client, I like to read my notes from the last session to see what we talked about so that I can remember to talk about follow-up. And I also always try to ground myself and get rid of all my stuff and put it aside. So no matter what I'm going through during that day, whatever I'm thinking about, anything that's bothering me, I don't like to check my phone in between clients. I just put it all aside and make sure that I'm just a clear conduit for my client that's coming. So I just sit there in silence and just allow the space for all of my stuff to step aside so that I'm kind of like a blank piece of paper when my client arrives and I can just work on their energy and I'm not dealing with mine. Again, this question kind of ties into the next question of what to expect when you come for a Reiki appointment. This will be specifically what I do, but all Reiki practitioners should be similar. But again, everybody does things differently. So I will just speak to what I do so that if you are thinking of going for a Reiki appointment with someone in your town, you'll kind of have an idea of what to expect. So based on the last question, before you come, I do use crystals in my session. So I always clear the crystals with sage and I Reiki them just to clear them from the last person that they were used on. I clear the room. So I sage the room. I Reiki the walls. I always open a window to make sure that there's no stale energy. I prepare like the bed and the blankets and the pillow, turn on music. And then when you arrive, I ask you if you ever had Reiki done before. And if you haven't, I explain what it is. Even if you have, I explain what it is because what I do is a little bit different because I have mediumship in it. I ask if you're open to messages from spirit. I kind of give you a lowdown of what's going to happen. So I say that I might start talking and you don't have to talk back to me. You can just say yes or no if it applies. If you want to talk about it and dig deeper, we can, but there's definitely no obligation to discuss things. I say that I'll always leave space for questions at the end and I'll kind of just give a few examples of things that they could feel and explain that if you feel something, that's great. But if you don't feel something, that doesn't mean it's not working. You can feel tingling. You can feel warmth. You can feel one arm be heavy, one arm be light, but I'll ask you these things during the session as well because it helps me know what's physically going on in your body. And then I ask if they have any sensitivities to smell because I do burn sage and Palo Santo and I have essential oils that I use. And then I show the crystals that I use in my sessions just so that they know if one of them pops up in their hand or on their stomach. They're not weirded out by that. And then they lay down fully clothed on a massage bed with a blanket on top of them. I do move the blanket when I'm working in certain areas. And as you lay on the bed, I move my hands around your body very lightly. I'll place them on your shoulder or your knee or your foot. And I move intuitively. So sometimes I start at the feet, sometimes I start at the stomach, sometimes I start at the head, sometimes I start on the left hand. I just kind of do a body scan and then I start wherever the client needs it. And it's very relaxing experience. So if you've never had energy work, it's totally fine. I say that it's still relaxing like a massage, even though I'm not massaging your body. And I always recommend to drink lots and lots of water after the appointment because, again, even though it's not a physical massage, it's still a lot of work on your body. Your body's moving energy, your body's releasing energy, things are shifting and changing. So it's really good to nourish your body afterwards with food and water and sleep. So when the session is done, you'll feel like you had a massage, like you'll wake up on the table kind of groggy, the same way you would wake up after a massage, like, oh, all relaxed. Some people like to lay there in silence for a few extra moments when I'm finished. At the end, I always clear and sage. I sometimes do like a sound bath with a Tibetan singing bowl. It really just depends on the person's energy and what they need and what's going on. And then we'll talk at the end if I didn't have a chance to say everything, because sometimes I like to leave the person relaxed and then I talk at the end. Sometimes I only talk at the beginning. Sometimes I talk the whole way through. Everything is different. But I would say if you're trying to find a Reiki practitioner, I often get asked about different areas. Either go off of a recommendation, so if someone else has gone to this person, or just try to find out as much as you can about the practitioner you're looking to go see and see if you like their energy, see if you like their vibe, because it is me as a person still working with you. So although source is taking control and Reiki comes from a higher good, it's not coming from me personally. You are still working with my energy because I am the practitioner. So I always recommend to either go off of a recommendation, ask around. Someone always knows a lady or a man in the town, and see if you like their vibe. Look them up, check their Instagram out, check their website. Try to see their voice if you can hear them talk. And just if you vibe with them, then they'll probably be a good fit. Also, I always say that you'll get an appointment at the time that you need it. It'll all fit into your schedule. If you're trying to make an appointment with someone and it's not working, or it's just nothing's working out, lining up, you're probably not meant for an appointment yet. When it works out, you just happen to have the day off, that time just happens to fit with your schedule, that's when you're meant to go. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't all work out the first time you try to get an appointment. You will get an appointment with the right person when it's time. Okay, so the next question is, without being a Reiki practitioner, how can a layman move energy? Ooh, good question. So I would say for this question, it's a lot easier to move energy on yourself than to move energy on someone else, but it's definitely still possible without being a Reiki practitioner. Everyone has different levels of intuition, everyone has different levels of connectedness. So there are some people who aren't certified to Reiki, but just have that intuition, that gut feeling. They know they can shift and move energy. I would say, as an easy example, this can be like if you wake up in a bad mood and shifting your thoughts and your energy to more positive thoughts to get you out of that bad mood. Like that's where you have the control. You don't need someone else to move your energy, although it is nice. You are definitely in control of moving things. If something feels heavy on you, like you're in control of letting it go. Sometimes it is easier with a practitioner because they can help bring it to your awareness, because we all have blind spots, but you can do it for yourself. I would say the main thing to focus on is your intention. Have pure intention, set your intention, and really focus on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to move, what you're trying to rid yourself of. I've told this story on the podcast before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's relevant. But my grandma called me, and she is a little old lady from Lebanon, and she said that her shoulder hurt. I'm not going to do the accent again because I got a lot of people making fun of me last time. And she said that she did that thing that I do. And because I was there and I Reiki'd her. And she said, and you know, my shoulder, it feels better. And what's that thing you say? I knew I said I wasn't going to do the accent, but it's so funny. And I was like, what do you mean, what's the thing that I say? And she's like, the thing you say, you were whispering. What's the prayer? And I was like, Taita, there is no prayer. She's like, there's a prayer. What is it? I was like, no, there's no prayer. I didn't say anything. Like maybe I was whispering something. I don't know, but there's no prayer. She's like, okay, whatever. Well, I didn't know what you said, so I said, devil be gone, devil be gone. And I swiped it away and I threw it on the floor. And I'm laughing hysterically on the other end of the phone. But at the same time, I was so happy because she just mimicked what I was doing, and she's not attuned to Reiki. She just saw me do it a few times on her and her sister. I do it on my aunt. And then she just tried to do what I did, and it worked for her because she wanted to get rid of something and she swiped it away and she threw it on the ground and she like removed it from her body and then she felt better. So I really believe that you don't actually need to be attuned. Like, we all have this in us, but it definitely is easier when you're attuned. So I said this before, when next time I see her, I am going to attune her to Reiki because I can now. I'm a Reiki master and I can attune others. And I want to give her that gift because she's called me a few times telling me that she's swiped something away and then she feels better. Or she went to go pick up her cup of coffee and her hand was shaking and she laid her other hand on top of it and she said, "Shaking be gone, shaking be gone." And then her hand stopped shaking. So I'm all for this. And that's why I don't believe that you need to be a Reiki practitioner to move energy. Like, we are so in control of our own energy. And I would love to have her on the podcast for her to just explain it because it's hilarious the way she says it and it's the most adorable thing ever. So if I can get like a recording of her talking about it, I will put it on a podcast one day and we can all enjoy this little 87-year-old woman swiping away the devil. Okay, so I'm going to stop the questions here for this week's Q&A. Thank you for all your questions. If you ever do want to ask me any questions or if you're curious about something, you can follow me on Instagram and send me a DM, or I do put up on my stories every once in a while, like, ask me a question. And then once I have some questions combined, I'll do another Q&A just to see what people are asking about. There usually is a common theme. So again, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And I would love a rating and a review if you use iTunes. If you use any other listening platform, there isn't an area to review. So thank you for everyone who has messaged me saying that they don't know how to leave a review or they can't leave a review. That's totally fine. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, it is just iTunes. So I'm wishing you a wonderful week. Remember what the tarot card said this week for us all to take it easy on ourselves. And I will see you next Tuesday with another brand new episode. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye.